Hello, Internet, and welcome back to Koi Cubed. I appreciate you guys giving me a week to live in the real world. I didn't feel like it was my place to be jumping on an episode of Koi Cubed or do a Koi cast last week, so I didn't. So I appreciate you guys being here with me today. I miss you guys all very, very much. This episode is going to be a bit different than some of the ones in the past. We are still going to do a comic book pull list. We're still going to do a streaming recommendation. We're still going to go over the news and stuff. But with the way the world is, there is going to be a bit more real world mixed in. So I couldn't in good conscience basically just pretend what was happening outside wasn't happening, because that's how we got here. So I will effectively be trying to give you guys the content that you all signed up for, basically all of the things you're used to getting from this channel and from my podcast on my other things, but also with more of the real world folded in as well, because frankly, silence is complicity, and I can't be a part of the problem anymore. So I want to kick it off with some real world stuff. We'll get to the fun world of pop culture here thereafter, but in the meantime, this week has been unprecedented. It's been quite interestingly bold and big in a world of quarantine, in a world of 2020 where it seems like we can't possibly have more go on. The world was like, hey, by the way, June's not even going to be like a funny thing, like murder hornets, which we never really got, or any of those joking memes which I've been a part of, where we list every month just getting increasingly more dire. But there's something tongue-in-cheek about the world of abstraction, or the world of, oh my god, I can't believe that's even real, and those comedic elements are allowed on the internet, but there's nothing funny about the current state of affairs. There's nothing funny about Black Lives Matter. There's nothing funny about the fact that we're actually in a fucking civil war, or heading towards one. Sorry, I shouldn't be hyperbolic about something so serious. We're actively so divided, and if you've got a problem with Black Lives Matter, I really carry on away from my page. Like, I don't need you as a subscriber. I don't need you in my life. I don't need you as a person. You don't need to be here. If you're an All Lives Matter person, frankly, I'm not sure how to handle that conversation any longer in a polite way. You've heard the metaphors about burning houses and broken bones and all those things. It's not time to be focused on others. It's a time to be focused on Black lives, because they matter and because they're in need. So I want to say that this week I have had my optimism tested. I've had my make lemonade out of lemons tested. There's been a lot of fucking lemons. And I really want to just, ignorance can't be okay anymore in this country. There's this weird thing that Americans got into where the America concept is very funny, right? Like, it's, you wear your gasoline colored sunglasses with the wraparound bullshit and your tank tops, and that's a funny extreme. Like, I definitely used to love the overindulgent patriot concept before I realized how broken this country was. And I feel like we took that meme, and it's kind of like when you use slang and the slang becomes part of your vernacular. When you say something ironically and then it becomes something you say sincerely, like hella. Like, I used to joke around about hella, and now I say hella. Shit like that. I think we used to be tongue-in-cheek about ignorance, about stupidity, and then we just got stupid. Learn. There's never a detriment to reading a book. There's never a detriment for wanting to improve your way of life. There's never a detriment for wanting to grow as a person. There's never a detriment to being malleable to new ideas. I've been checked so many times this week about my insane privilege, and I'm trying to be malleable and learn what I can do to be a better person. And that's all we can do, is try to be a better person every single day. Listen to your black friends. Listen to the news about what needs to be done. Stop listening to pundits that don't know what the fuck they're talking about. Stop listening to the masses that think that they've been right this whole time, because clearly they haven't. We shouldn't have had fucking racist slave trader statues up in 2020. I didn't even know there was an actual auction block, a block that was used to sell slaves at auction in Fredericksburg. Fredericksburg is a big town. It's a small city. It's big. How the fuck was that still up until last week? So I know this is probably going to be tricky because I'm going to get to the fun stuff after. But I don't care if I lose all my subscribers, all my followers, all of the bullshit that is supposed to be what matters in the internet space. I can't be silent or complicit anymore in actual racism. So thank you to all of you who have either educated me or followed along with me on this journey of figuring it out. I want to thank everyone who has retweeted and shared and looked at some of the problems. I want to point out that in less than 10 days, we had an entire movement happen worldwide that's already caused more change in 10 days than a lot of the 400 years of problems. It's been really eye-opening what we can do when we rally together, and I feel like that is what the world's supposed to be. Like, we're supposed to be one. We're this beautiful terrestrial race of beings that are stuck on this planet trying to figure it all out, and this planet is so fucking gorgeous, and we just got so far off. So just, like, listen, learn, grow, don't value ignorance, don't value stupidity, don't believe the way things are is the way they always have to be. Understand that defund the police, when I say that, it doesn't mean take a 100% of the money away. It means, like, if you've been mad at billionaires existing or soon to be trillionaires existing, and you've been mad at that Amazon doesn't pay taxes, but you're okay with police getting 74% of the money, there's a problem. It's the same systemic problem, and the systemic racism in this country is also inherent to so much of our existence. So please just listen. I'm gonna get to fun shit in just a second. Again, I apologize for making that. I apologize for bringing it up so much. It's just I'm so used to the habit of talking about comic books and movies, and I'm not used to talking about shit that actually affects people in the more literal sense. And I was gonna open the show with pop culture and then close the show with my week, but it just didn't feel right because it doesn't matter as much. I'd rather not do this anymore than see more people be beaten by cops. I'd rather not do this anymore than acknowledge that I'm living in a world that is okay with racism. It's not okay. So, look at what the 10-day rundown is of what's been accomplished with the Black Lives Matter March in 10 days. It's insurmountable. It's crazy. Look at the fact that we just got rid of privatized prisons in California. I'm a Californian. I've never been more proud to be a Californian and never been more embarrassed to be an American than I am right now. California got rid of privatized prisons where you can't make a profit off of the new form of slavery. They got rid of that shit finally. That's gone. Thank you, California. Thank you, Gavin Newsom. We already have different legislation in place and huge police reform bills going through in 10 days. We're now on day 12 and that California stuff's moving forward. My personal experience, I've been self-quarantined, or I was self-quarantined for 82 days. I went out on the 83rd. I stayed in for 82 days. I saw 5 people for 82 days, and then I couldn't be silent anymore. I couldn't just stay home and tweet. I have a bigger platform than many people. My few thousand people that follow me, when that gets retweeted, that's tens of thousands. That's huge, and that's something I can do, but it didn't feel like enough. So on the day before I marched, I went out and I cleaned on Melrose, because Melrose means a lot to me. That street means a lot to me. And while I was cleaning up Melrose, I had absolutely no problem with the graffiti, stuff being broken. Stuff can be replaced. People can't. Hard stop, period. You can't replace people. But a lot of shops that are mom and pop shops got vandalized and got fucked up, and I foolishly, and this was completely on me, made a video on Instagram that I had up for a couple hours saying, like, hey, protests don't loot. And that was not my place to say. Like, I was upset for mom and pop shops. I was upset for businesses I know that won't open back up, but even that on the scale of this 400 years doesn't fucking matter. So it was selfish of me to be on my high horse of my white privilege and say shit. So I apologize to anyone that saw the video that was offended. It was a 2-minute video that was I was trying to be diplomatic. I was just saying, like, hey, I don't want the cause to get sullied by the other side of the aisle saying, like, hey, this is a looting thing, not a protesting thing. And that's what I kept seeing. And I was just trying to be a voice of, hey, this is my opinion, but my opinion doesn't fucking matter right now. I've just been listening since, because I got to see that, like, not my spot, not my place. So, I love the fact that when I went out and I cleaned up the street, I was happy to board up windows and help out store owners. I was happy to clean graffiti. I was happy to be part of the cleanup process so there was less for the people that don't want this movement to point at. And I was happy to do it, and I did it for a couple days, and then I wanted to actually go protest. So after self-quarantining, I was like, how do I do this? I wore a mask. I didn't take the mask off to drink water unless I was away from everybody. I'd literally leave the march, go drink, and then come back. I didn't pick up anything. I was super careful about keeping my hands sanitized. I did everything I possibly could to be mindful of COVID-19 while still marching. But the things I saw have been incredible. The love at that march. You don't notice microaggressions until you notice them not there. You don't notice people being subtly dicks until not there. It was people bumping into each other in a crowd of hundreds of thousands. And there were no, like, hey, like, it was just love. Like, you bump into someone and they, like, understand what's going on. Just that weird little tick of being in a city and being surrounded completely by people, not feeling claustrophobic because everybody's there with love, is unlike anything I've experienced. LA had a pulse. LA felt like a city. LA didn't feel like a series of big towns. Music in the streets, people handing out food and water, people talking, people meeting strangers. People don't meet strangers in Los Angeles. It was one of the most beautiful experiences I've ever been a part of, and I look forward to getting tested tomorrow for COVID-19, and as soon as I'm negative, getting back out there. I won't be part of the problem. I won't be a super spreader. I have no symptoms, but asymptomatic is another thing, so I'm taking precautions. I have self-quarantined since basically I filmed a podcast, kept a distance, wore a mask, and now I'm at home and not going back out until I get my COVID test back, and then I'm going back out because I want to be part of the solution. So, know that the protests are peaceful. Know that there are plants of people getting aggressive, but they're getting less and less often. Know that the protests are working. Know that if you want to see what humanity can be, look what tens of thousands of people rallying together can accomplish. Know that you, just with your voice, if you don't feel comfortable going outside, share shit, learn, listen. If you don't feel comfortable being part of the protest, go clean. Be a part of that solution. If you don't want to be a part of the protest, email fucking politicians that don't listen. Get on the email, like, make it so loud they can't not listen is what I'm saying. Like, make phone calls, email. If you don't feel comfortable getting out, there's 100 things you can do, and the best thing you can do is receive the information that your worldview isn't the baseline. Like, you might be wrong about a lot of shit. That's the best thing we can do. So, much love to anyone who stuck with me through this. I really want to be out there causing change, and I really want to help as best I can. So thank you for the viewers in this channel right now. I know you come to me for comic books. I know you come to me for movies. I know it's not exactly a political show, but do know that this will be a more politically charged me henceforth. I'm fairly activated, and I don't want to just go back to complacency. I don't want to go back to pretending everything's fine. I'm still a positive person. I'm still an optimistic motherfucker. Like, I still think the world can be good, even now, but I don't want to pretend it's normal out there. So, for what it's worth, this is the new perspective. This isn't going to be the Daily Show, but it's also not going to be the Look Over There Shining Object show. So go fucking vote in November. Vote in your local elections. Vote with your fucking wallet. P. Comics in Pasadena is a black-owned comic book store. If you're in California, P. Comics is great. They have an excellent Black Friday sale, and then 6 months after Black Friday, they have a biannual sale. What's 6 months after that? It's like April. We just missed it because we were all closed. April and November, they have these incredible sales. I love P. Comics. They're fantastic. Please, please, please support black voices, black businesses, everything you can. That's something you can do that doesn't mean marching. And also, if you march, let me know you're doing it, because don't take selfies and shit. That's fucking gross. Every time I see someone like, look at me, I'm here. That's not the point, but like, I'd love to hear your experience, because it's been a very positive experience for me. And you guys are how I can stay sane in all this. So thank you to my audience for being here, for this being not a one-sided me yelling to the void, because a lot of times it feels like yelling to the void. So yeah, so much love to you. So much fucking love. You guys are the best. All right, let's get into the pop culture side of this. And yeah, vote. Don't believe the fake bullshit. The fucking president himself actually tweeted out a conspiracy theory today. Like, a 75-year-old man gets pushed over and is bleeding out of his ear, and he has some fucking Also, If you like comic books or movies, you're anti-fascist. Antifa is the same as saying it's not an organized group, there's no cards. It's being a good person. Being anti-fascist is being human, a good human. So be anti-fascist. Don't believe that. Just please, please, please use logic. I'm not going to say don't believe the right or don't believe the left. I'm not going to say pick a side. I'm going to say use your fucking head. Comics are anti-fascist. Comics are Antifa. Movies are Antifa. Most of them. Just fucking think. And thank you. Thank you for listening. Vote in November. Use your logic. Think of ways you can help. Think outside the box. Keep making me so proud of you, Koi Pond. Keep making me proud of you. I love you guys. All right, let's get into the less emotionally draining. I don't know how people are politicians and stay sane, because I've dabbled in the idea of getting into politics, and it's so hard with the system so broken. So thank you, all of you. I appreciate you. Okay, in the world of news, movie theaters might open on Friday. May 12th, movie theaters might open. That's crazy to me. May 12th is now. Sorry, it's June. June 12th is now. It's just a staggering idea that we've gone from, like, nobody move, the T-Rex can't see you if you're still, to, like, a rave. Like, I go outside here and people aren't wearing masks and the traffic is back and people are, like, at the park hanging out. We didn't fix this shit yet. Also, sorry, I'm squeaky. I've been at protests yelling. We haven't solved the problem, so the idea of going back to a movie theater for me does not seem very likely. So June 12th, we're conceptually opening. They're going to be doing back stock films, like movies that have already been released. They're not going to release anything new until everything's safe. 2 weeks is this probationary period to test the waters, from what I'm hearing. But as soon as June 12th, California theaters can open. I think they're waiting on New York to find out if Tenet's going to hold its spot. New York is in a very, very different world because it's so dense in population. What up, DJ Dribbles? One of my friends from back east is in the chat. Send him some love. I agree, Ed. There is no way that we're safe to open movie theaters back up yet, in my not a scientist opinion. That said, it's happening. So if you are completely enamored with the idea of going to the movie theater like I am, but don't have my fear, then wear a mask, keep that fucker on the whole movie, sanitize your hands going in and out, be careful going to the bathroom because that's an enclosed area, wash your fucking hands and then use your elbow to get out the door. I don't fucking know. It is insane, but everyone's going out of business. Another foundational issue of this country is that there is no infrastructure for things to be closed for any length of time, because that's not how business works. That's not how capitalism works. We have landlords demanding rent. We have handsome cats right here. We have a lot of problems with the way this country is run. So with things being closed, they can't exist. I'm terrified for small theaters. If AMC is saying it's going out of business, how the fuck are people going to have small theaters open? It's a very, very bad time. Restaurants go out of business every day. Movie theaters are always saying, like, hey, we're almost dead. It's my two favorite industries are both hospitality based and both require people to be in them. All of that said, I don't know how it's going to be safe in time for Tenet. I don't know how it's going to be safe in time for anything realistic. That said, June 12th. So we're going to keep an eye out on things spiking. The protest has now been going for about 12 days, and Memorial Day was about 2 weeks ago, so we're going to see numbers start to shift. The numbers that have started going up now are not from the protest because there's not enough time. So remember that it takes time for this thing to gestate, and then the numbers spike. So in a week, keep an eye on those numbers if you want to be a dick, but not yet. Just keep an eye on all the numbers, and we'll see what happens on June 12th. As it stands now, we are getting Tenet in July. As it stands now, I don't know if I'm going to be there or not, because I am a lover of the theater. It's my favorite place in the world. The theater, restaurants, and comic stores are everything I love. It has been a very interesting year, 2020, for me to look at all of my expectations of the world and be like, everything I love is public. I love cons. I love the theater. I love going out to eat. So it's been really interesting. I've learned a lot about myself. That doesn't mean because we miss something, it's safe. Just because you want it doesn't mean you can have it. Another interesting arrogance about Americans. So we'll see. I know they started closing down a lot of theaters back where they opened them up in other countries. I know that they've had to re-establish expectations. I do think we're gonna have a second and maybe third shelter-in-place order in the fall and then winter. But as of now, I don't think it's safe personally. And you guys, if you watch this show, you know how much I love the movie theater. So it's a very, very tricky time. Now that we're not talking about as serious of things, we're going to move into more and more the world at large, and then my favorite thing in the world closing are the two dark stories. Now we're going to go into the fun stuff. But before we do that, I want to thank Smack Talk in the Streamlabs. Thank you very much, Smack Talk. It is very good to be back. Thank you for the Streamlabs donation. I appreciate you, and I'm glad to be here. Thank you, man. Much obliged. All right, so in the world of other news, we also got this week, Bill and Ted got a trailer today, and man, oh man, do I enjoy that trailer. Bill and Ted is an 80s movie classic. Bill and Ted is one of those movies you just watch to be happy. It's a great escape. I'm trying to not rest on my laurels while also trying to do like a 90-10 split. I'm trying to remember to take 10% of the time off. I'm trying to remember to recuperate some. So Bill and Ted's one of those movies that I'll throw on to be like, this is everything I needed. And Bill and Ted 3 looks exactly the same in its sensibilities. It looks rad in the exact sense of that word. It has just this like, yeah. Seeing them be righteous again made me so very happy. I think Bill and Ted 3 is going to be great. I think it's going to be perfect escapism. I think we need a feel-good movie. Someone in the chat literally said that as I was. I think it's the antidote to the darkness of the world without ramifications, but it's the antidote. I'm so excited. So the trailer worked for me. It's only a minute and a half. It's impressive that Keanu Reeves has aged 10 years and 40. I'm stoked to be back with my 80s brethren. I'm a kid of the 80s, but only by a hair. I was born in 88, so I'm not really a kid of the 80s, but my mom is super young and my dad is super young, so their 80s culture is definitely a part of mine. I run to the Top Gun soundtrack. I watch The Lost Boys more often than I probably should. I love the 80s, even though I was only in it for a year and a half. But my parents were children of the 80s, and that really affected me. My sense of humor and my sense of filmmaking is very 80s and 90s based. I think 1999 is the best year in the history of cinema, and I think the 80s is the most fun decade. I'm not going to say it's the best decade, but it's the fun of cinema. So I need that right now. I need Bill and Ted 3 to remind me how much fun we can have at the theater. And I haven't seen the second one in years. I think I was an actual kid. So I'm excited to revisit that. I'm probably going to watch Bill and Ted 1 and 2 in the next, 4 or 5 weeks. Try to make time to watch those two to see them before the theatrical release. My cat is just lobbying for attention, so I'm just trying to give him love while we also Spidey cameo coming in. There he is. Hello, son. Okay, Spidey's here. Now he feels better. Also, this week we have rumors abounding that The Batman will feature the Joker. Now, you may notice we have a Jared Leto Joker who has been quietly retconned. We've got a Joaquin Phoenix Joker who is in an Elseworld. And now it would seem we might get another Joker to be canon in The Batman. Now, this intrigues me because there's already a ton of villains in The Batman. I love the idea of a Calendar Man-esque long Halloween journey where you've got an Arkham escape situation. I love that. I think the Joker can be an Emperor Palpatine type figure where he's not playing the asylum stuff. That's Calendar Man. That's who I want in that position. He can be the overarching trilogy villain. I really think it's going to be an interesting experiment to... kitten. Actually, you know what? You guys get to see Spidey today because he is... Hello, son. Oh, my boy. He just wants love and attention. Hello. I think it's going to be really interesting with all the Joker other content going around if they do this, but I do think it's a good opportunity to show that the Batman is its own animal. I think there's going to be a really good opportunity to show that this Robert Pattinson Batman is separate from the Batfleck Batman. I think it's tricky because Batfleck is going to be in canon with Suicide Squad's Joker because Batman showed up as a cameo, or kind of a small part, in Suicide Squad, so that Batman and that Joker are already tied together. So all the rumors about HBO Go making a Batfleck movie, that would be his Joker. I've also heard rumors saying that his teeth were knocked out when he was killing Robin. I think David Ayers lightly confirmed it. I think all of those things can work. I'd love to see Jared Leto as the comic book Joker. I'd love a prequel to Suicide Squad where we get to see what Jared Leto turned him into that character. I'm personally not a fan of that take on the Joker. No disrespect to people that are. But it's not my Joker. I would love to see a new Joker for Robert Pattinson, because to me, the Joker is the most interesting villain in comic books. What makes Batman so interesting is that he has this code, he has this rule where he will not break this killing rule, but he goes really close to it, and that's what he's always fighting. The Joker is the antithesis. He's pure chaos. He's no rules. You know who the Joker is. But that's what makes him such a fascinating new character. Such a fascinating character is he is so chaotic in his energy and so chaotic as a character. You can have 3 Jokers at once. There's actually 3 Jokers in some canon in the comics. The Joker is a multitude. So I don't mind if you're going to have multiple villains. The Joker works to have a Suicide Squad Joker, and that would be their Harley Quinn Joker, and have a Elseworld Joker. Joaquin has nothing to do with Margot Robbie's Harley Quinn. I don't think the Batman Joker should have anything to do with Margot Robbie's Harley Quinn. You can keep these 3 separate. DC is basically doing with their films what they do with their comics. They're all separate entities, and that's exciting for me. I think that's the move. I'd love to see Lakeith Stanfield as the Joker. I'd love to see Willem Dafoe get to be the Joker. My casting choice, my number one, my pipe dream, holy shit, it'll never happen, is Joseph Gilgun as the Joker. He plays Cassidy in Preacher. I made a giant fan cast of all my Batman villains a while ago on Instagram. If you scroll back, you can find it. It's also on Reddit, I think. Someone tagged me on Reddit. Anyway, I don't use Reddit. It might be lost. Anyway, I did a full fan casting for who I want in the Batman, and Joseph Gilgun is my Joker. I think he is chaotic energy personified. I think he's tall and lanky. I think his voice works. I think he's manic. I think he's perfect. I think he's theatrical. I think he's captivating. The Joker has to be fascinating because he's so evil. You have to be really invested in liking him. That's why the Joaquin Phoenix movie works, because you're so fascinated by the character Arthur Fleck that when he goes pure evil, you're there. It's the Walter White scenario. You grow into the pure evil. So with a Joker supporting character role, you need to be instantly captivated. You don't have time to learn this guy. You just got to be interested right away. Joseph Gilgun, Lakeith Stanfield, Willem Dafoe, those are my Jokers. Any one of those 3 I'd be really happy with. A lot of people have been saying Rami Malek. For me, he's actually my calendar man, which was really funny. Again, this is something I made 4 months ago. I made this when Robert Pattinson got cast, and I cast Rami Malek as Calendar Man. I think he looks like Tim Sale's drawings. I think he looks like that slightly removed from reality, and just kind of like, he's more tactile, he's more abstract, and he's very particular. And for me, that's not the Joker. So obviously actors play, so it's not going to be one type, but I see Rami Malek as a particular type, and I see Joseph Gilgun as a chaos type. So that is my personal take on the Joker situation. Time will tell. I hope he shows up, and I hope he's a post-credit scene or a small part in Batman 1. I hope he gets to be more prevalent in Batman 2, and I hope he's the big overarching trilogy villain. But that way they can put a lot of villains in Batman, the Batman 1. It's my most anticipated movie for the foreseeable future. I've said it on Coy-Cast a lot. I don't know if I've said it here. My most anticipated movie of this year was The Eternals. Now that's next year's. So my most anticipated movie this year, I think, is Tenet. But my most anticipated movie that's, like, slated is The Batman, and then Spider-Verse, and then Aaron Sorkin's directorial debut, I think, are my 3 most anticipated movies in life. So The Batman has me real hypey. I'm so stoked. Alright, so moving on from Joker and Bill and Ted into my number 2 most anticipated movie of the foreseeable future. Spider-Verse 2 is in production, y'all. The movie doesn't come out until 2022. Oh, I forgot about Doom, no one's saying. Oh, sorry, I haven't checked the live chat in a second. Again, I am going to try to get in the live chat as much as I can. The Streamlabs is the guaranteed way to get to me, but I'm going to try to get to both Streamlabs. I want to thank Mukbang Reviews. General support in my Streamlabs. Thank you, Mukbang, as ever. I really appreciate you, and you just coming in here and saying general support means the world to me. Thank you very much. Also, Fanboy Cantina wanted to thank me for speaking out. So that is the opposite of a lot of the people in my DMs who are real pissed. But that's on them. If they want to be ignorant and they want to stay dumb, that's not my fucking problem. So thank you, Fanboy, for balancing the scales of letting me know it's something you do want to hear about from me, because I'm going to keep talking about it. I'm just glad someone's there to listen. So thank you, Fanboy. Much obliged in the Streamlabs, and of course, Smack Talk again. Let me click over to the actual live chat, make sure I didn't miss anything here. Again, I can't get to all of them, but I'm going to try to just see if anything jump out. No, I'm saying I do have a red cat. It's true. George Carlin is the best. Let's see. 89 movies are really close. Yeah, we have a lot of movies like around the bend. It's gonna be real crazy. A lot of people want to see the new Joker. Wesley agrees with me on the Willem Dafoe. Let's see. I am a huge fan of JGL, Ed, but I don't see him as a Joker type. I think he is much more of a Riddler type. He is much more of a controlled creature. He's great as Hesher. I think Hesher's as close as we're going to get with the Joker, but even Hesher, his morals were on his sleeve as much as he didn't want to show them. Joe's just too good. Not that the Riddler's good, but there's an inherent goodness in Joseph Gordon-Levitt. Okay, mostly caught up. Dune is also high on that list. I saw Dune pop up in there. I think Dune is in my top 5. It's probably number 4, my most anticipated. Dune is a... cannot wait for Dune. Okay, back to the news. We also, this week, found out that Sam Hargrave worked on The Mandalorian Season 2. If you guys follow this channel, you know how much I loved Extraction. Extraction is a brand new movie on Netflix, like a month old, that basically takes the John Wick formula of finally noticing how great stunt people and stunt coordinators are and giving them more power in Hollywood, and they let Sam Hargrave, an incredible stunt coordinator and stunt person, direct the hell out of Chris Hemsworth. It is an 80s-esque action movie that is just full tilt crazy. It's awesome. It is the result of the Russos, who are so good at finding talent, picking someone out of their movies on the below the line side and giving them a movie with their new production company. Big fan of it. That said, I like Extraction quite a bit more than most action movies. I actually liked it more than John Wick 3 because it really captures what I think you can do when you trust everyone on your crew, when you go full crazy. Like, it looked like the movie that someone in their head was like, I've been standing on the sidelines and I wanted to make this shot forever, and he did that for an hour and a half. I'm a big fan of Extraction, so the idea that he is going to be doing a Mandalorian Season 2 second unit, making the action even spicier, has me very excited. I'm a big fan of Mandalorian Season 1. It's some of my favorite Star Wars, period. It felt like what I think of Star Wars as being, so the idea of that with the action of Sam Hargrave, yes. Give me that Sam Hargrave action. Also, give me the opportunity to see more stunt people get their claim. I think stunt people should have Oscars. Anytime a superhero mask goes on, that's not the actor anymore. Action movies, most movies have stunt people, but especially the movies that are making theater numbers, ability to stay open, that's stunt people. So having a stunt coordinator direct a movie clearly worked. I hope we see more of it. Sam Hargrave, Mandalorian 2 is fantastic. All right, over to HBO Max. Not only is HBO Max losing a decent amount of their DC films, we found out like an hour ago, in a few weeks, they will eventually get them back. It's licensing issues. But what's hard is a lot of other companies clear all that shit before they launch. So it's hard when you advertise like, hey, we're going to be the one-stop shop for Warner Brothers. By the way, it's going to have to settle first. So they got the rights for an opening salvo to have this big presentation, and then in a few weeks we're going to lose them. It's a really messy situation. I believe in physical media. Someone on Twitter was like, well, if we had the money to buy physical media instead of $15 a month, we would. Used Blu-rays is all I get, man. I never buy anything new, or I rarely buy anything new, and it's 100% of what I ask for birthdays and Christmas. I'm poor as fuck, and I got Blu-rays. Because it's what I value. I'd rather not eat out for 2 weeks and make all my own food at home to save up to buy a Blu-ray and then own it forever than not. So personally, I'm a Blu-ray guy. I have like 10 or 11 4K movies from Christmas that were like I must have, like Deadpool and Infinity War, those kind of things, but I think Blu-ray is very important because you can't ever lose the rights to it. So it's real tricky that HBO was like, hey, we're going to launch, and we haven't really solved that problem yet. I have a lot of love for HBO. I think HBO and DC are figuring it out. I think DC Films is in a much better place than they were 5 years ago. I think the Snyder Cut is really going to help HBO Max out. I love DC Comics, but I'm worried about how digital they're leaning. I worry about DC Daily going's a real bummer. A lot of friends at DC Daily. It sucks. I really love those folk. So it sucks to see like 10 of my friends lose their jobs. I know what that's like. So it's just shitty, but that's the internet. So bummed for HBO to lose all those titles. I'm sure it's going to piss off a lot of people. It's the name of the game right now with streaming. It's a lot. It's a mess. But that said, a funny thing out of the news this week was that the Looney Tunes originals, the new Looney Tunes coming to HBO Max, Elmer Fudd and Yosemite Sam will not have guns. At first, I was like, that's part of their character. But it's not worth me having like 2 minutes of nostalgia for advocating guns. Like, Guns are just weapons of war. Like, guns are only made to kill. So I would prefer kids not to have those normalized. Personally, I would prefer not. If I'm going to have a kid, I don't want them watching something that guns are like a funny joke. I used to laugh at Bugs Bunny putting his finger on the gun, but then I looked at the macro of that and how many kids play with guns and kill themselves. How many kids normalize guns and bring them to schools. We didn't have school shootings for 2 months because we didn't have fucking school for 2 months. Guns aren't okay. So I'm cool with it. I think HBO Max getting rid of guns was the move. I am okay with that. And I think that we should not have guns as normalized as they are. So thank you, Yosemite Sam and Elmer Fudd, for putting down Yo Heat, because it's for the best. And they're gonna have new and inventive ways to be funny. And also, I don't see kids playing with fucking TNT and shit. I don't see kids. You can still have Roadrunner, is what I'm saying. Like that, the Coyote and Road. Is it a Coyote? Yeah, that still totally works, and that's just as funny. So there's obviously ways around it, and it's my like old man like, well, it's not my Looney Tunes that lasted for about 5 seconds until I realized the scope of the benefit of not having kids have guns as a joke, because they're not. Alright, so that is more news this week that hath happened. I'm going to jump in the live chat and see if there are any NRA people yelling at me. Yeah, people are mad about the HBO Max thing. Dude, Black Friday, 100%. I probably get 20 Black Friday Blu-ray movies, and it sets me back like $80 because they're like $3 to $4 on Black Friday. Some of them are $8, and I usually ask for those for Christmas. And once again, that's 100% of what I ask for is Blu-rays because I think it's vital. So personally, Black Friday is a great call. Thank you very much in the live chat, Jazz Santi. Jason Ritchie, dude, Jason. Your Facebook has been top notch, I gotta say, man. Jason, happy to hear you speak out for a more fun topic. Is there a comic character or set of characters that you haven't seen in live action you would like to? For me, it'd be the Green Lantern, Jon Stewart, or Guy Gardner. Ooh, that's a great question, Jason. Okay, I'd love to see Jon Stewart or Guy Gardner. I'd also love to see Kyle Rayner if we're talking about Green Lanterns. Any of those 3 Green Lanterns I would love to see. I think that Jon Stewart's the most different than what we've seen on screen before. I think he's a very different personality type. He's a very different, like, energy. Kyle is my favorite because he's like a 90s kid. But that said, let's talk about general translation. I want to see Mr. Miracle. We're getting a New Gods movie. I assume Mr. Miracle is going to be a huge part of that. I think that's going to be a lot of fun. I would love to see Kraven in the world of Spider-Man. I would love to see... I'd love to see the Sinister Six. We haven't really had a villain movie. I think doing an Oceans kind of movie, like doing a heist movie, but it's Spider-Man villains and Spider-Man's the bad guy. So you get a bunch of down on their luck criminals that are just trying to make ends meet. And they're doing this big heist, but they're all superpowered criminals. And then Spider-Man just keeps getting in their way. So they decide to team up, like they all go to prison. So like you have a first act where they're all like beaten by Spider-Man. Second act, they all form the Sinister Six. Third act, you got this giant Sinister Six fight. I think that'd be fun, especially if you've already introduced a lot of the characters, which I think is what the Spider-Man Sonyverse is doing. But what else? Who else? Animal Man is super slept on. Animal Man is this great character who should be shitty. He's a Golden Age character who has the power to pick up animal attributes and then use them as a power set. So he's kind of like an Animorph, but he just has to like sense a power. And that sounds cheesy, I'm sure. But he's able to extrapolate that and use his powers in really interesting ways, and then the comic itself becomes a commentary on the world. It's like this very environmentally minded comic. It breaks the fourth wall in a way that I've never seen done as well, period. Animal Man is the most slept on, I think, comic from the age of Watchmen. I think Animal Man is up there with Watchmen, but nobody talks about it. So I'd love to see Animal Man translated, but because of the medium of comic books, I don't know if it would translate to TV and movies as well. So I'd dig that. Let's see, someone in the live chat just said Sandman star Drew. I'm worried to see Sandman, but I'd love it. Sandman is obviously, it's even more abstract than Animal Man though. Like Sandman is full crazy, so I'd love to see that. I just don't know if it's possible. But I hope that answered your question, Jason. Also, keep fighting the good fight, man. Jason and I worked together long ago, and we're friends on Facebook, and seeing his posts has made me really happy. So, 1, thank you for the super chat, Jason. That means the world, and it helps me eat. And 2, I'm proud as fuck of you taking a stand. You've been killing it. So, thank you for the super chat. Much obliged. Savage Dragon is a great call. That's good. I'm enjoying the hell out of Stargirl. I think Stargirl is the first show that is on a big network that looks like it has the budget of a Netflix or premium network. Like Umbrella Academy blew its mind with its budget. Stargirl's using its budget really well, but with the CW sensibilities. I think Stargirl is the future of DC TV. It has the CW tone, but a little better, and it has the DC TV budget, and it's the combination of everything I like about superhero TV, but for a younger audience. You can't have everything be Umbrella Academy. You can't have everything be Doom Patrol. I think it's the best younger show we have. I don't want kids watching The Boys, but it's as good as those premium TV channels, but it's on a network. So I think it's the future of comic book TV. I was really impressed. And also, not everything can be Watchmen. For me, Watchmen is Breaking Bad level. Watchmen changed what TV could be. Watchmen is the only 5-star show. It's the first time I've given a show 5 stars since Breaking Bad, which was, 10 years ago? So I think the bar can't be Watchmen because it's like a bell curve, like it's over here. And I think The Boys is similarly crazy high. But Stargirl is the height of the beautiful middle of the bell curve. Like it's an exceptional piece of very good network content, if that answers your question. Okay. Let's see. And I hope that answered your question too, Jason. Let's go back to Zed News. Also, I'm going to try to keep my shows under an hour. Probably not this episode because I talked about a lot of real world shit at the beginning, but I've noticed my numbers are going down the longer my shows are, and I really want to not have that. Like, my YouTube has stayed roughly the same since I launched it, and I got to figure out ways to diversify, so I might be cutting the length of the show down, but I haven't decided yet. But this episode is going to be probably long because of the world and having taken a week off. It is also really fucking hot in my apartment. I apologize for the schwitzen. All right, let's see. Over to more news. This week we also had Connor retiring for the 3rd time in 4 years. Do I think it'll stick? Maybe not. I don't know if we're going to live in an age without Connor in the current state of UFC. I think enough money will get him back. I think him getting a fight he wants will get him back. But I don't know if that's going to be anytime soon. So I'm really curious what happens. He did seem to retire. He had a cake from one of his kids, allegedly saying, happy retirement, Dad. So it's really, really tricky. But he's also like, he seems to be happy like in Ireland doing his thing. So I think that if this wasn't in the present day, I wouldn't believe it at all. But now there's like 15% of me that believes in it. 85% he comes back, 15% he stays retired, if that makes any sense. I hope he doesn't go to WWE, personally, Stargirl, but time will tell. All right, so I don't think Conor would actually retire, but I do think this is the most serious he has made that statement of retirement. All right, and over in the world of the UFC 250, I enjoyed it. I'm not going to break down every fight because I'm trying to keep this episode short, but that Cody knockout in the 2nd round was absolutely insane. Cody, like, summoned his key. Like, he had a spirit bomb. Like, Cody, like, took out... It was incredible. That knockout was next level in the 2nd round. If you haven't seen that, do check it out. And the overall card was very, very good. Also, my computer is warning me it's overheating. It's very hot. So if I suddenly lose you, it's because my phone, or my computer all simultaneously overheated. Gotta sneeze. Okay, let's see. We are going to do the Ultimate Spider-Man Book Club next week. I announced that on this week's Coy-Cast, that we're going to do it next week. Myself and Jake, the producer, had a great conversation about Ultimate Spider-Man. I'm sorry it got pushed. The real world caused that to be pushed, and a lot of people were saying they don't have it in the mail yet. I've gotten a few DMs of people asking me to wait a week so they can get their Ultimate Spider-Man in the mail. Also, Comixology is free for 60 days, and all of Ultimate Spider-Man is in there. So if you steal comics, or if you think you can't afford comics, there are ways to get comics for free. Comixology is a legal way to get comics for free. It is free for 60 days, and Ultimate Spider-Man is in there. The first volume of Saga is in there. Tons of the most historic, important comics are in there. Try Comixology out, free for 60 days. This isn't a commercial, it's just, I think it's a great tool. And Marvel Unlimited is fairly inexpensive. There's lots of ways. So we're going to start Ultimate Spider-Man next week, and I'm really excited to dive into the first few issues of that with you. I know I said that last week, but again, world shift. Okay, let's go into the pull list. My favorite comic books from last week, the week of May 27th, were Avengers 33. Oh, sorry, I got a Streamlab, and I gotta make sure I get in those before I dive into the next section of the show. I will be more coordinated next week when this doesn't feel like I'm doing it brand new. And also, thank you to everyone in here. Before we move on to the poll list, actually, let's talk about the Schmodown. I don't know if you guys are in here for the Schmodown, but in case the Schmodown is your cup of tea, I just got a Streamlabs bevy, and I got to make sure I jump on here. Guys, I hadn't refreshed my Streamlabs, and holy shit, thank you. First up, Michael McCarcel. Thank you for being so vocal about fighting for what's right. Also, hell yeah, I'm so unbelievably excited to see what incredible stunts they pour off for Season 2 of The Mandalorian. Michael McCarcel, thank you very much. I really appreciate both the sentiment and the Streamlab. Michael McCarcel sponsored the first watch-along on my YouTube channel, and it was taken down by Fox. We watched all of Deadpool, did a full audio commentary on it. I had a lot of fun doing it, and I had my volume down to like 8. Because I know the movie, so I only needed to hear it for cues, but apparently it was loud enough that my phone picked it up, and then Fox took it down. So I'm going to be wearing headphones next time. I'm going to figure out how to do a Bluetooth setup and wear headphones and do all that jazz, and we're going to redo that one in the summer. Maybe like July or August, we'll redo Deadpool just for you guys. But in the meantime, Michael McCarcel is my watch-along sponsor, so we're going to be talking about what we're doing at the end of this month. At the end of June, we'll be doing another watch-along, and then once I'm caught up again, we're going to do Deadpool again. So Michael McCarcel is the man. I appreciate him very, very much. Also, the camera was facing me. There was no frame of the TV, and there was no audio. It was madness, but Michael McCarcel, thank you very, very much. And then Smack Talk. Smack Talk. Another of my favorites of your nicknames, Smack Talk Some Sense, is this one, and I appreciate it. Hey, Coy, this is kind of a tough question, but how do you think all the shit that's happened this year, COVID, the protests, whatever the hell is coming, will affect pop culture in the near future? That is an entire episode, but let's do a brief rundown. I think COVID is going to basically cause us to have a lot more bottle episodes of content in the broad sense. I think that movies are going to be smaller. I think the mid-budget film might actually come back because of COVID. I think TV shows are not going to have as many extras. They're not going to have as many crowd scenes. I think we're going to see a lot more contained content. That could be a good thing, because you'll have to write shit better. The quality could go up. I think we'll have less content. I think there's going to be, like the WGA strike, when the writers struck? See, I need to learn writing to speak. When the writers were on strike, the quality of content shifted dramatically, but also the amount of content coming out also shifted. I think COVID's going to do that on a much larger scale. March 20th, everything shut down here. Like, the last of the things shut down here. And things are finally opening back up on June 12th. I think June 12th is the date that if you pass a series of regulations, you're allowed to film in Los Angeles. So March to April, April to May, May to June is 3 months. Just shy of 3 months of nothing being filmed. That's a quarter of the year. That's 25% of everything just not being able to be made. So it's great for post-production, like the Snyder Cut. It's good news for, Spider-Verse had more time in pre-production. They could build that movie up. They could shape the story. But overall, I do think it's going to restructure what we do with filmmaking. I saw an article today talking about how they're going to use CGI for love scenes, and that's just weird. I don't know how they're going to be able to make me believe the uncanny valley of people that were just people suddenly not being people for snogging. But like things like that are going to be the norm. We're going to have to adjust to a new world. I think live events are going to be a while away. As a Comic-Con zealot and a burner, it's really hard for me. I think we're going to spike again really soon, so I definitely see us going back and retreating back into quarantine. I think we're going to see a lot of content about quarantine. We're going to see a lot of Contagion type things. We're going to see a lot of, like the movies about this sort of thing are going to come out. Every screenwriter in town is going to write some version of it. And then, on top of that, the world decided, like, hey, let's shine a big old spotlight on racists. And that's going to cause a lot of animosity, because people don't like to admit they're wrong. So I think people that don't like to admit they're wrong are knee-jerking back in a really aggressive way. Cops having, like, meetings saying, like, not this officer, like, even places that have been known for police brutality are saying that they're just doing their job. That's not an apology, and that's not fixing anything. Florida being like, we're going to hire all the cops that got fired for being monsters isn't a fucking answer. So I think we're going to see a lot of justice-based content. I think we're going to see a lot of vigilante content, maybe. I think we'll see a lot more Punisher-type shit. I think there's going to be a lot less cops in movies. I also think that there's been a... This is hard to say. How how many cop shows are there? And how often are cops written in fucking circles to be the good guy? And they give the guest stars, like the bad guy gets no time to be an interesting character. Look at why Daredevil was good. It's because Kingpin and Daredevil were both fascinating. They're both really, really interesting characters. The bad guy was just as interesting as the good guy because there was no bad guy. Think about how many cop shows there are that dance around police brutality, that all cops are, you know, good and then they arrest the one bad cop. That doesn't happen as often as real life. So I think we're going to see a lot less police procedurals where they like validate cops. I think we're going to see a lot, you know, less pandering to that. I hope we see less guns. I hope we see less, the fucking NRA and all these gun-toting assholes always said they needed guns if the government got out of hand, and it did. And they didn't do shit. They protested not getting haircuts, and then didn't bring their guns when people were being beaten in their streets. So maybe we don't need them. I'm not a gun person, so I'm biased. But I don't think humanity is biased. I don't think choosing a fucking weapon of killing is more important than a single life. So personally, I'd like to see less cop shows. Personally, I'd like to see less cop movies. I'd like to see less guns. And I hope that that is part of the change in pop culture. So in the world of what happens with COVID, we're going to have a huge delay for at least 25% of content, if not more, because we're going to close down again. And in the world of the types of content we get, I think there's going to be less cop stuff. And in the world of sensibilities, I could see there being more John Wick and less cops. I think there's going to be a lot more angry individuals, and it all scares the shit out of me, man. So for what it's worth, I think this is a worldwide shift, and I think it's an irreparable shift. And I also think it's a necessary one, obviously, but I also think it's going to change everything. It's not going to be one thing. It's not going to be just the real world or just the nonfiction world. Fiction or nonfiction world. I think it's going to actually be, we're going to look at 2020 as the beginning of a new thing, and I hope so, man. We can't live like this anymore. I hope 2020's stress, to answer your question in a more concise way, Smack Talk, I hope that the agony we've gone through in 2020 is a growing pain to become a better world overall. I can't imagine, I'm not a fucking caterpillar, but I imagine it doesn't feel good to go into a cocoon. Maybe it does, but like, I hope that this is the fucking cocoon of being a fucking butterfly. I hope this is us in growing pains. I hope this is us evolving into something better. I hope this is us changing for the better. And I hope that if you look at it, nothing has ever happened like this between a recession, a soon-to-be depression, a self-quarantine, a pandemic, a civil rights movement, a zeitgeist shift in money. Like, literally none of these things have ever stacked in each other to that level. So I really, really hope that maybe it's the perfect storm to actually cause fucking change. This country was founded on escaping religious freedom, and then it separated church and state and still has God in every fucking thing. This country was founded on, like, not being oppressed and had slaves for fucking ever. This country was founded on, like, justice is blind and having things be fair and equal, and isn't. So maybe we actually come out of this the country we fucking claim to be. Maybe we finally decide to make our content, make our laws, make our people the people we claim to be. Maybe. That's what I hope comes out of it. So I think it can't be, I think pop culture wise, it cannot be overstated. This will change everything. This is going to be, the world's not going back to normal because normal was fucked. Like, normal was broken. So I think pop culture reflects the world, and I think our culture is changing, so our pop culture is changing. Because pop is just the most accessible version of culture, and our culture has to change. So I try to balance the pop and the culture, and that's my new goal with this show and every other show I do. I'm trying to balance the pop with the culture. If it is going to be the best of our shit, if it's going to be that's what I call music of culture, then it better be fucking good. So we got to be better at our worst has to be better, so our best can be better. So pop culture is going to be different because the world sucked before and we didn't even look at it right. Okay, so mukbang with a good call on Watchmen. It was a seminal work, absolutely it was. And then again, thank you to Jason Ritchie and Smack Talk and Michael McCarcel for that that bevy of wonderful Streamlabs. And I'm thank you, Smack Talk. I appreciate the epicness of that answer. I went off on my podium, and I appreciate you very much. Guys, I'm thinking about doing, actually, we'll make this little announcement before I go into the comic pull list. I think I'm going to do another show called Coy Ranting, because it looks like quarantine, Coy Ranting. And I think I'm going to make that my more politically minded stuff. So I might, depending on if lawyers will attack me, I might do a more politically charged show. So if you're interested in that, and if you're interested in just my opinion, because I honestly, there's enough white people yelling and talking that it might not be necessary or wanted. But I do have a lot of like that last answer. I feel like I've been silent for too long, so I might do little short 10, 20-minute rants, and hopefully they're not like angry rants, they're productive rants. Hopefully they're doing... I hope they benefit and not just be another voice yelling. I really want to try to like use my knowledge for something. So, Caitlin Manchester, that pun hurt her. Coy ranting? Quarantine? Yeah, so I might do that show. And then officially I'm doing another show called CB Squared, which is going to be, because this is Coy Cubed and I like math, CB Squared is going to be comic books and craft beer. So we're going to do a show that is craft beer and comic books. I'm either going to have guests on where we all have a beer via Skype and myself and the guest talk about comics over beer, or we'll do the weekly comics that week and the week prior and I do a more in-depth review. So if you're a patron, you know that I rate every single comic. If you guys are patrons, it's like a $15 tier. It's a reasonable tier, and I've rated every comic from January 2019 to now. So a year and a half of comic books are all in that tier. You get to see what I think of every single comic, but I think it'd be fun to do a leveling up of that and do a show that is me a little toasty because I could use some beers, and I do basically craft beers and comic books and talk about comic books either with guests or about the week's comics. And it's a show like Mark Riley does with his wine thing. You guys could pick whatever beer you wanted me to have. You throw beer money, and then you sponsor that episode. I write your name on the beer, and that beer is from you. And then we talk about craft beers and comic books. So I do really want to do a few more shows on the channel, and then that might be a way to do a lighter-hearted show. So if I do a more intense show that is Coy ranting, and then also do a craft beer and comic book show, maybe that'll be the way to do it. And then I might be able to shorten this show to under an hour, and then do more of a daily type thing. It's a lot more work, but I really felt. I was always afraid of being quiet about politics, and I feel bad that I was. This sounds like a name drop, but it's very important to the story. I was talking to Bruce Campbell, and Bruce Campbell was like, when you say anything about politics, you alienate half your audience. And he's right. And for 3 years, I let that be the voice in my head, which is why it's funny, because it's Bruce Campbell's voice. That's why the name dropped, because it's funny that I hear Bruce Campbell when I think it. But Bruce Campbell, I think, like, if I get rid of half my audience, but they're not people I want to be entertaining, then maybe that's okay. So maybe it's okay if I get rid of the people that I don't want to help be happy. I'm not saying if you disagree with me, fuck off. I'm saying that if you don't want to hear what I have to say about things that are in real life, then maybe that's not the show for you. So I'm thinking about adding another show. That way you can just have the pop culture show and just have... Anyway, ideas, but no matter what, we're going to be starting craft beers and comic books next week. I'm very excited to basically have the outlet to drink beers with you guys, because I definitely stress myself out in this show, and I think it'll be really fun to have some brewskis with my internet bros. So that's going to be starting very, very soon. And we have a sponsor for that first episode. So a brew house, a local brewery is going to be sponsoring the first episode. So I'm going to be talking about beer that I've never had. I'm going to be like blind taste testing beer with you guys. And it's going to be a lot of fun to do beer and comic books. And thank you. Thank you. Oh, thank you very much, Timothy. I'm trying out long hair, long beard. I have not shaved or, trimmed. I have not shaved this in quite some time, and I'm growing this out because why not? Now's the time, right? So thank you. I appreciate that. I've been stressed that I look like a crazy person, but then I also realized maybe that's okay to be a crazy person. All right, over to the world of comic books that I love so very much. New comic books come out tomorrow, but since I missed you guys last week, let's cover the books from May 27th that I really, really enjoyed. They are up on my Instagram. I do this like 9 square thing where you can see my favorite 9 books of the week. My favorite comic books from the week of May 27th are Avengers 33, which is incredible. Basket Full of Heads, number 7. I read all of Ex Machina. It is a political thriller from Brian K. Vaughan, writer of Saga, and it is perfect timing. Love the hell of it. Finished Volume 5 last week. That is Ex Machina Volume 5. Loved it. The Low, Low Woods, number 5. Marauders, number 10. The continued adventures of the team that had Kate Pryde on it. Check out that book for an understanding of why that title is very different right now. Suicide Squad, number 5. Symbiotic Spider-Man, number 5. Ultimate Spider-Man Volume 2, reading ahead so I can read along with you guys, and Venom number 25. Those are my favorite books from the week of May 27th. Those are, yeah, that was a good week. That was a solid. I usually don't have that many that I love, but it was a real solid week. And then this past week, June 3rd, I only have a top 4. Right now, there's a smaller print, like, list. Pull lists are smaller. Comic books are waking back up. We're adjusting. This whole diamond thing is crazy. We'll talk about that in just a minute. June 3rd, my favorite books from this past Wednesday. So a few days ago, my favorite books were Detective Comics 1022 and a fantastic Two-Face tale. It's brutal. It's intense. It's peak Batman and peak Two-Face. I'm really digging this run. Far Sector number 6 is my book of the week. Far Sector number 6 is the most important book on the shelves right now. That's not fair to say, but I think it's really important. John Constantine Hellblazer number 6, which is, the language in that book is poetry. You can hear it while you read it, and the texture of it, the grit of it, you can taste the language in that book, and I love a good sense of oratory really shapes a book, and Hellblazer has that, and it's in spades. And then Shazam number 12. Shazam number 12 is a one-off. It is a Batman and Shazam team-up book. You don't have to have been reading Shazam at all to enjoy this book. It is a team-up, and it is a one-off, and it is spectacular. So Shazam number 12 is also a big pull this week. Now, I said Far Sector number 6 is my book of the week, and that is for good reason. That book has been coming out for 8 months. It got delayed because of the quarantine pandemic madness. The thing that's going on with that book is it was prophetic as fuck. It is a book about protesting the right to be emotional. It is a book featuring a black lead who in this case is a cop, because Green Lanterns are effectively space cops. If you didn't get that metaphor, that's what they are. They're cops in space. And it is a book about the oppressed people peacefully protesting and being shut down by their government. That's right fucking now, and it's a book that's been going on for 8 months. Far Sector is a Green Lantern book about what's going on outside of your door. It is a great, great seminal work. I'm going to use that expression Mukbang used. It is a seminal work of comic books, and it's some of the best Green Lantern I've read. And the art by Jamal Campbell is amongst the best on the shelves. Jamal Campbell is one of my top 3 new artists of the last year. Hugely important book, and it's about the real fucking world. So check out Far Sector number 6. It is about what's going on outside of your door, but it's a little more accessible because it's not as nauseating as seeing a cop beat someone on Twitter. It is at least fiction. So it's a way to not be silent, and it's a way to not ignore what's going on, but also enjoy a little bit of comic bookdom. So Far Sector, highly, highly, highly recommended, and the art is just dope. I saw someone here ask about Diamond. Diamond is tricky because I am against monopolies, as you know, but I'm also not sure how they're going to be able to do. I'm afraid this is DC going digital and graphic novel based. I think they're going to have some monthly books. I think they're going to have even less weekly books. The 2 distributors they have are brand new, so all of this is unfair to say. They might be spectacular. They've already moved their day from Wednesday to Tuesday. They've already left Diamond unceremoniously after 25 years, and they've already transitioned a lot of their books, just like Marvel has, to digital only, and they're doing that while advertising how good their graphic novel sales are, while talking about scholastic book fairs, and they're a huge company. Warner Brothers is huge, just like Disney is. I'm not shitting on DC. I could see them transitioning into having less weekly books. I could see DC having about 50% to maybe even as low as 30% of the books they have on the shelves transitioning to graphic novels, and then I could see the 70% that isn't weekly be digital and graphic novel, and that worries me. So I won't speak on it more than that until I have facts. That's my concern. It might be completely irrational, but that's what I'm currently worried about. So I don't love the Diamond thing because it's, Diamond's a monopoly. I don't like that they have all of the money in all the directions, but at the same time, they had a system that was working, so I'm worried about this restructuring happening while Warner Brothers has been dabbling in the idea of having less and less comics. So I hope I'm wrong. I really, really do, but we will see. All right. Check in on the live chat. All right, let's see. Like Seth Rogen. Yeah, dude, Seth Rogen on Instagram has been a delight. What a fucking champion. Michael McCarsell, thank you for supporting the idea of another show. I really appreciate it. Let's see. People are about the idea of the show. Hell yeah. All right, cool. Leave comments too so I can read them later. I want to see if you guys are about those 2 new shows. I really appreciate it. Sean Goodman, great stuff, Coy. Your politics are on point. It's like you've been following the examples of all your comic book heroes. How people can be fucking fascists, and read about anti-fascists and think Antifa's a negative is fucking beyond me. How people... Captain America punches Nazis. You can't read comics and have a swastika on your chest. And that's the most extreme, but there are lesser extremes. How you can be okay with police brutality and think Batman's a vigilante and he beats up criminals and feels bad sometimes that he beat up criminals. He's not wearing a badge. That's why the cops don't like Batman, because he's not wearing a badge. If you wear a badge and beat up people that aren't criminals, if you beat up the not criminals, you can't judge Batman for beating up criminals. It doesn't make sense. So thank you. I do try to get like workout inspiration and moral compasses from comic books as well as everything else, but I appreciate it. Sahil, Smack Talk, you trying to grow the hair too? I respect it. Dude, the Kramer meets Castaway is how I felt 2 weeks ago. I finally it's finally doing the thing where it's like laying, and I'm like, oh, at least now it's not like this. Like it's starting to have enough weight. So I feel you, man. But we'll see. We'll see what long hair does. But a lot of comments in the chat about the hair, so I had to at least note it. Jazz Santee, have a good evening. I appreciate you. My mom's wrist is doing better, and she is a rad human being. Thank you all for giving her all the love in the chat. I appreciate the hell out of you. Ed and my mom are talking. They used to work together. Okay. Roman, I understand what you got to say there. Roman said, and I agree with this to a point. Roman said the problem with taking down the reminders from the past makes it harder for our children to learn from our mistakes. I see what you're saying, but we have books, we have oral tradition, we have movies, we have plenty of, we don't have, Germany, you can't even talk about Hitler because they're like, no, we fucked up and look what we've done to improve. I don't think we should, a statue is an acknowledgement in a positive way. It's look, like it's too inherently glorifying. There's the word I was looking for. It's too inherently glorifying. If you want to have a statue up, it should be celebrating something, and there's nothing to celebrate about racism. There's nothing to celebrate about slave traders. There's nothing to celebrate about mistakes that were inhumane. So for me personally, I don't think we should keep up statues to oppressive figures, be it a flag or a person or anything else. But that's my opinion, and I'm okay with seeing these fuckers get thrown in the water. It makes me real happy. All right. Oh, dude, okay, Michael, this is a funny story. I gotta wrap up this show here in a second, but I'm having a good time. Michael just said, one time at the gym, this old man in a MAGA shirt tried to compliment my Captain America shirt. I couldn't even accept the compliment. I said that Cap would hate Trump and walked away. I respect the fuck out of that. I thank you, and I had a similar thing happen this week. I turned around at the grocery store. I was talking to the cashier, and I was asking how they were holding up, because it's a hard time to be on the front lines of COVID, like ringing in groceries, people are getting sick. And I was like, yeah, I just can't believe, like, Black Lives Matter people being vocally outspoken against it. I can't believe that there are people that are saying, like, when you say Black Lives Matter and someone scoffs, you're saying a black life doesn't matter. And I don't understand that. It doesn't make sense to me. So I was talking about that with the cashier, and then I turned, and I'd been talking for like 2 or 3 minutes, not long, but long enough, and loud. I'm loud, and just saying, like, I can't believe how oppressive this country is, and I can't believe how much hate there is. And I did the thing I shouldn't have done, where I just, like, the lady, like, opened the door, and I was like, here's all my thoughts. So I talked to her, and I turned around, and there was a dude with a MAGA hat while I was saying, like, Black Lives Matter, 'cause they do. And the dude just had this contemptuous glare and just, like, hobbled along. And then, like, it was just the most tense. We're not part of the same country. we're not experiencing the world the same. We couldn't be more different. Like, me and this fucker couldn't be more different. And we're at the same grocery store. We probably live in the same neighborhood. And it blew my mind that there was that much hate in someone that had the money to buy groceries. They had a big fuck ton of groceries. They had the money for groceries. How the fuck are you full of so much hate if you're able to eat? If you have a roof over your head and you can eat, how the fuck are you so angry? Fuck that guy. And I respect for you standing up for Cap. You're right, Cap would hate Trump. Mukbang! Many thanks. That is all. You get it, and I appreciate the time and work. Thank you, Mukbang. Fuck yeah. Dude, appreciated. Okay, I'm going to check on the last thing, news. And yes, Cap does hate Trump. Reston, you were completely correct. I love Chris Evans. Chris Evans is actually one of those people that's helped me realize that I am okay with losing assholes if I'm going to be political, because it's more important to be outspoken than it is to be silent, especially in matters of oppression. Okay, this week, I recommend comics out tomorrow. What up, John Getz? Okay, the comics that are out tomorrow are the ones I recommend, the ones I'm looking forward to reading are Batman 92. Finally, after months, we get Punchline, her actual debut in the mainstream. She's in a fantastic issue this week. We'll get to in a minute. Batman The Adventure Continues #1. It has been digital only for a long time. The continuation of Batman the Animated Series is now in print this week with #1. We've got Batman's Grave #7. Warren Ellis and Brian Hitch doing a fantastically action-oriented Bat book that is so good. He's a detective. It is hyper-violent, but also hyper-Batman. It feels like you're playing a video game. It's such a good book. Big fan of it. Black Cat #11 continues on the most surprising title of 2019. Black Cat is a consistently great book. I didn't know Jed Knight before this book, and I've always wanted a good Black Cat book, but hadn't gotten one. Boom, now we got a good Black Cat book. Daredevil #20. We got Chip Zdarsky doing the best run of Daredevil I have seen. It's in my top 5 runs of Daredevil of all time. Chip Zdarsky writes Matt Murdock exactly how I picture him. The art is so consistently good. There's a couple filler issues with the art, but the writing was so good. And #5 is from Kelly Thompson and Chris Pichello. I am digging this run. I'm not liking it quite as much as the Passain run, but I know this issue is a tipping point, so this might be what gets me. I'm right there. Over to Decorum #2, an indie book from Image about politeness, about manners in the world of assassins. It feels like a John Wick-esque book called Decorum. Only on issue 2 if you want to check out this great assassin book. You're only one behind. Excalibur #10, Excellence #7. Excellence is a book from Image. I learned about it when I was working for Skybound. I wish I'd heard about it before. It is a wizarding-ish book. It is a book about the supernatural. It's about wizards, but it's about wizards in the black community. So it feels like equal parts Black Panther in its Coates and Reggie Hudlin era meets Harry Potter without the transphobia, and it's real good. So check out the glory of excellence. It is truly excellence. Then we've got, this is the book I wanted to talk about this week. I'm going to be reviewing it later on. Joker 80th Anniversary #1. This is a brand new collection of Joker tales. There's 100 pages and some covers. It is fantastic. It is some of my... That's hyperbolic. It is some of my favorite Joker shorts ever, and it's in this week's book. It is so freaking good. DC books come out on Tuesday, so I've already read this. This is the only book I've read so far this week. Joker 80th Anniversary is fantastic. Highly recommend it. It's also got a great Punchline story, and a lot of my favorite creators are all in this book. It is fantastic. Okay, Kill Lock #5, the second to last issue in the mini-series that could. It is a book about robots. It has got more charm and heart than most books about people. It is spectacular art and writing. I love Kill Lock. Lois Lane #11, the second to last issue of the mini-series from Greg Rucka about Lois Lane. Intrepid reporter, not just Superman's wife. She does a lot of really cool shit. I'm loving having her on her own title. Miles Morales Spider-Man. I actually like this run even more than the Bendis run, and you guys know how much of a fan of Bendis I am. The Miles Morales on the shelves right now. He's a little bit older, a little more seasoned. It's more about him as a dude. There's a lot more about the personality of Miles. There's a lot more of Miles at school, and I'm really digging that. New Mutants #10. Love the art, love the writing. New Mutants is one of my favorite post-Hoxpox era books. Something is Killing the Children #7. A noir murder mystery about a creature killing children that is as cool as the title is badass. And finally, Undiscovered Country #6. All proceeds from this book go towards the NAACP this week. They are trying to bring to light more black creators in comic books, and this book is shepherding that movement. So Undiscovered Country is not only great, but this particular issue goes towards a great cause. Whew. Those are my recommendations this week. I really hope you guys check out all those comics. Weston, I did not label this Black Lives Matter as much as it was a subject of the story because I didn't want YouTube to take it down. I hate that we live in a world where I had to worry about that, but I was afraid YouTube was going to take down my video because I was talking about the world at large. So those are my recommendations for this week. That was in speed round because I've gone way over on the show, and I still have one more thing to talk about today. We usually do on this very show a streaming recommendation where I give you this week's recommended streams. So what I usually do is go through Netflix and Hulu and Disney Plus and all those things and list the new things that I love, my favorite movies from that week newly released. I missed last week, so I couldn't do the beginning of June. I'm not doing June's new shit this week either. I'll do that next week because I love movies because they educate you while entertaining you. You can learn, you can grow, you can experience a new world. I don't think right now experiencing a new world it shouldn't be your autopilot. I think it's good for escape, but I think it's also a time to educate yourself. All of my streaming recommendations this week are about Black lives and about making the world better. So my Black Lives Matter streaming recommendations for the week are as follows. One of them, So 2018, there were 3 movies that came out that were A's, like high A's, almost A pluses. I've only ever given 16 A pluses in my entire life. If you guys follow me on Letterboxd, I'm very critical of I don't think 5 stars exist. I don't think a 10 exists. I don't believe in perfection. But I do believe in an A. And I've only given a few hundred A's in the history of cinema. But there were 3 incredible A's in 2018. Into the Spider-Verse, Infinity War, and this film. If this film had come out any other year, it would have been my number 1 film of the year, but unfortunately the competition was 2 great Spider-Man movies. So, my number 1 non-superhero film of 2018, and the movie that no one has seen that needs to see, Blindspotting. Blindspotting is now on Netflix. Blindspotting is a movie that is so educational while being entertaining, that is so informative, that puts you in a world, that puts you right in someone's shoes, that it's about hip-hop, it's about culture, it's about the Bay, it's about being blind to Black life. It's literally the most important thing right now. Blindspotting, it talks about the vase and the 2 faces. You've seen that image where you either see 2 faces or a vase, and you're blind to the other one. You're spotting the blind. That's the title is a beautiful metaphor for not seeing Black lives. And it's a movie that has so much beautiful music in it that it's almost Disney in the amount of music, but instead of a sonnet or a big grandiose set piece, the song is hip hop. It's using rap as an outlet, and it's fucking stunning. Daveed Diggs, Raphael Cassell, Daveed Diggs of Hamilton and Clipped, Raphael Cassell, one of Def Jam poets like extraordinaire, also one of the best follows on Instagram and Twitter. I've talked to both of these dudes, and both times I grew as a person within moments, and they're both incredible people, and they poured their heart out into this movie, and this movie is their heart, and it's so important, and it's on Netflix right fucking now. So if you're gonna watch anything this week, highly recommend Blindspotting. Please check out Blindspotting, and if you watch Blindspotting, tag the hell out of Raphael, Daveed, tag me, I want to know what you thought, but let them know, because it is so fucking good. And I just feel like it got pushed under somewhere. I love that movie. It's one of my favorite movies of all time. Okay, Malcolm X. Goes without saying, Denzel Washington's Malcolm X. If you haven't seen it in years, or if you've never seen it, now's a great time. Check out Malcolm X on Netflix. Detroit. John Boyega is my favorite thing about Star Wars right now. John Boyega is standing up for everything he believes in. He's doing it articulately. He's doing it peacefully. And he's doing it incredibly well. John Boyega is my fucking hero. And I'd love to support a movie that is John Boyega and Catherine Bigelow and about the world we live in. So check out Detroit. It is on Netflix as well. Also, 13th is about the 13th Amendment, which is not as great as you think it is. And it is very informative. It is very painful to watch, but it's an important watch. 13th, highly recommend it. And then the great John Getz actually recommended my next, right there, Black Klansman. Black with 3 Ks. Klansman is a very, 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 very good, funny, but in a dark way, time for the time. So do check that out. And then we got Hulu, the show Atlanta. It's Lynchian while also being Linklater. It's peak Glover. It's the weirdest comedy, and it's also really important about Black lives. Amazon, Just Mercy, Antoine Fisher, and Selma are all free to rent right now. Just Mercy is the studio put it out for free. I've never seen Antoine Fisher, but I've been meaning to, so now I've got a great opportunity to. And Selma, obviously very important. Disney Plus, Black Panther. It's my most surface pull, but I think it's important. As well as Remember the Titans, man. I rewatched Remember the Titans myself because I needed to have a little escapism, but also didn't want to be ignoring the world. So Remember the Titans felt like a perfect middle ground, and it reminded me we can be good. Big fan of Remember the Titans, and it's on Disney+. And then in the world of you'd have to rent it, because I don't know if it's on streaming, we've got Dope. Dope is so good. Dope stars Tony Revolori, Shamik Moore, and Kiersey Clemens. Shamik Moore is, of course, Miles Morales. If you're here for comic books, it's Miles Morales, Flash Thompson, and Iris West in a movie about 80s hip-hop in a modern-day setting that actually is written and produced and starring nerds, that feels like it's about nerds in a positive way, that is also almost a PSA about what it means to be a good person. It's next level. Check out Dope if you've never seen it. The cast is great. The flavor of the movie is spectacular. So good. Queen and Slim, I believe, is on Hulu, but I'm not 100% sure. Queen and Slim came out 2019. I think a lot of people just missed it. It's spectacular. It's a Bonnie and Clyde story that is... They shouldn't have had to have been Bonnie and Clyde. It's a great movie, but the people in a position they didn't deserve to be in. And then Sorry to Bother You, Lakeith Stanfield, one of my Joker pulls, putting in the work on this weird slice of, not even slice of life. How do you describe Sorry to Bother You? It's just a movie about like the fucked up world we live in, but it does it in abstractions. It does it in this broad unreality that you get to live in for an hour and a half. Yeah, so there's a lot of really great stuff out there. So many movies you can do. You can stream to educate yourself, that you can experience something outside of your own life. I recommend those for this week. I'm currently recommending Far Sector. I'm currently reading Ultimate Spider-Man for the book club, but I also highly recommend you check out Far Sector Excellence, Naomi, the new Miles Morales book. Okay, I'm going to check Streamlabs one more time. I'm going to check the live chat one more time, and then we're going to wrap up this feature-length show. Remember at the beginning of the show when I was like, we're going to do a short one. We're going to mix it up. It's going to be short. And then I was like, man, I love you guys. And I am having a good time having a chat with you. And now we're at 1 hour and 20 minutes. And I am going to quickly check over here to make sure I didn't miss anything. But the good news is I put my computer on tile, so it did not overheat. And that is a fear. Okay. Let's see. Weston's taking off to Roxy's. Tell Roxy I said hi. Blind Spotting. Hell yeah. Dude, John, the fact that you've seen Blind Spotting makes me so happy. Dude, that yes. Let's see. Star Drew recommends Wonder Woman and Black Widow when they come back out. They're back in theaters. Hell yeah. Xeno Hour loves Something Is Killing the Children. Star Drew has read New Mutants. Hell yeah. I can't wait for New Mutants. Same. Dr. Nitrogen, what up, man? Dr. Nitrogen with the super chat. Glad to see you're well, Coy. Support all your activity recently in BLM. Yeah, assholes, fuck off. Yeah, new comics. Saga's awesome. Really enjoying. Big love and stay well, dude. I just love that whole message. I just love it all. That's all exactly my shit. I have no notes. I have no rebuttal. I just agree and thank you, and your use of caps and punctuation. It's exactly my shit. Thank you very much. I appreciate you. Okay. Let's see. All right. I think. Oh yeah. Okay. John says if you're gonna show a statue, do it in a museum. Can't just be in the open because people can take that as positive idol. Actually, I agree with that as well. Like you can have these things in museums. You can have it be historical, but like I don't want someone walking by and seeing something that oppressed their grandparents. Like, I don't want someone experiencing the trauma of that. Like, it's not fair. So, museum is historically connotated, and there's definitely expectations of all of that jazz. Wesley also recommends When They See Us. I hadn't seen that yet, but I've heard really good things. So, I need to check that out myself. So, thank you for the recommendation. All right, guys. I think that is everything. This was a solid way to breathe a little. I've only got one downvote, and I said a lot of very shouldn't be polarizing, but is polarizing shit. If you don't believe in Black Lives Matter, fuck you. If you think that police brutality is acceptable, fuck you. If you think that the way things were is the way things we should go back to, fuck you. And if you think that the systematic oppression of an entire people is worth the inconvenience of us going through this tectonic shift, then we are different people. So much love to every single person that watches this show, except any of those that were offended by those fuck yous. I think I'm going to do that Coy ranting show, and I do think comic books and craft beers next week is going to be dope. In the meantime, comment, like, subscribe, and thank you. Love you guys so fucking much. Stay sane. Stay safe. Thank you for being here. And until next week, thank you, comic books, for existing. But this week, thank you for existing and doing what's right and not being silent. And thank you. Much love, guys. I'll see you soon.